There is a rising wave online of people who view Greek myths as satanic rituals, or who confuse figures like the Minotaur with demonic archetypes such as Moloch. As someone who is deeply rooted in Greek philosophy and symbolism, I felt the need to respond, so to speak, not to argue, but to respond the meaning that it has been lost. I'm currently filming this in my shop here in Mykonos, where my wife and I create handmade jewelry. That's why the scenery is a little bit weird, the background of the video. So today I'd like to share with you an article I recently wrote to clarify what the Minotaur represents and why Greek myth is far from what many people assume. The Minotaur was not Moloch. Why Greek myth is not satanic ritual. Debunking a viral misconception about the Minotaur, child sacrifice, and the true meaning of ancient symbols. A recent video I came across claimed that the myth of the Minotaur was inspired by the worship of the demon Moloch, and that the Minoans, like the Phoenicians and the Canaanites, practiced child sacrifice to a bull-headed god. This idea is gaining traction online, and yet it is based on a complete misreading of mythology, archaeology, and the symbolic tradition of ancient Greece. Let's take a closer look at what myths actually are and why Greek myth should never be reduced to conspiracy theory. 1. No, the Minoans did not worship Moloch. There is zero archaeological or historical evidence that the Minoans practiced child sacrifice to a bull god. The Minoan civilization had religious rituals, yes, and bulls were symbolically important. But the idea that the Minotaur myth encodes demonic rites is a misreading of mythology and a projection of later religious fears onto ancient symbols. 2. The myth of the Minotaur is a symbolic allegory. In Greek mythology, the Minotaur, half man, half beast, is trapped in a labyrinth. This is not a literal monster in a literal maze. It's a symbol of our inner nature. The beast represents our instinctual, irrational self. The labyrinth is the psyche, a twisted structure of thought and emotion. Theseus, who enters the maze and defeats the beast, is consciousness, reason, or the heroic soul striving to confront and master the lower nature. It is a story of spiritual initiation, not of human sacrifice. 3. The word myth tells us what a myth is. The Greek word mythos comes from the verb myo, meaning to keep the eyes and mouth closed. That is, to be silent, to turn inward, to enter a state of contemplation. And the Greek letter theta, at the heart of the word, symbolizes the divine, to theon. So myth is not a lie, it's a coded path toward metaphysical insight. Greek mythology is not primitive storytelling, it is a symbolic dialectic. 4. Greek philosophers knew this. Philosophers like Plato, Plotinus, Sallustius, and Proclus emphasized that myths contain truths veiled in symbolism. They were not to be taken literally, but spiritually and philosophically. To confuse them with satanic rituals, not only inaccurate, it is a distortion of the very essence of the myth. 5. The bull, it's not a demon, it's the cosmos. In the ancient world, the bull was sacred not because of violence, but because of astronomy and astrological symbolism. The age of Taurus was a precessional era when the constellation Taurus marked the spring equinox. The bull represented fertility, agricultural abundance, and cosmic power. In Minoan Crete, bulls were part of ritual art and ceremonial performance, such as bull leaping, expressions of vitality and harmony with nature, no child sacrifice. To mistake this cosmic imagery for demon worship is to ignore the astronomical and symbolic knowledge these civilizations encoded in their myths. 6. The Labrys and the sacred balance. The word labyrinth likely derives from Labrys, the ancient double-headed axe. Far from being a weapon of violence, the Labrys was a sacred symbol in Minoan and early Greek culture. Its two blades represented duality, like light and shadow, masculine and feminine, above and below. But in between the blades lies the handle, the center, the axis, the middle point of balance. This is not just a symbolic tool, it's a cosmic diagram. The Labrys show us that we live in a world of polarities, but the key to navigating it is to find the mesotis, the balanced middle, the still point. In philosophical terms, it is where opposites reconcile. In psychological terms, it is the center of the soul. The labyrinth itself, then, it's not a prison, it's a rite of alignment, a journey through confusion towards inner harmony. 7. Ariadne, the sacred thread of consciousness. The hero, Theseus, does not escape the labyrinth by brute strength alone. He finds his way out because Ariadne gives him a thread, a subtle line that guides him through the maze. This thread is not just a plot twist, it is a symbol of conscious awareness, the fine thread of memory, intuition, and inner clarity that allows the soul to return from the depths of confusion. And Ariadne's name tells us something. Ari comes from the Greek Ari, which means most or utterly, and Arni from Agni, which means pure or holy. So Ariadne means the most pure, the divine clarity within every human being. She's not just a woman in the myth. She is the inner guide, the pure essence of the soul that helps the hero overcome the chaos of instinct, the Minotaur, and finds his way back to light. Without Ariadne, Theseus is lost. Without that inner thread, we all are lost. Final thoughts. Let's be clear. Mythology speaks in symbols, not facts. To read it literally, it's to miss the meaning. The Greeks were not worshipping demons. They were exploring the depths of the soul and the rhythms of the cosmos. Let's treat these traditions with the depth and respect they deserve. Thank you very much. Bye.